Hello and welcome to the Artist Studio. It's been a while since I recorded anything. I took a bit of a summer vacation. Hung out with my kid and my dog. In truth, I guess I was a bit disillusioned with the art world and needed a long break. So I took that break. Today we're going to be looking at the Book of Revelations. It's one of my old sketchbooks. I just received it in the mail from Alberta. My father sent it to me. The images drawn in here were drawn between 1998 and 99, which somehow seems, look, I gotta fix my hair, seems like a long time ago, and yet not that long ago. There were works of art made long before that, but this book here sort of solidified how I would end up creating my style of work, if that's what you would like to call it. I was living with a friend by the name of Toby Cougar Anderson, who at the time was big into collage and Rollex. So I started making sketchbook covers with Rollex and collage, and that sort of became the standard issue of how I did my works, or how I created my sketchbooks. This is a blank one. I don't have them all. What I never realized at the time was that Rollex and collage take some damage. There's some other sketchbooks as well. These are the ones I've kept. Or these are the ones I have access to, actually. They're all kept somewhere. And I have different types of sketchbooks. Some are for studies, some are studies of figures, studies of skulls, etc., etc. The latest sketchbook is yet to have its cover done, but it will be called The Book of Skulls. It will be started this week, which will be a series of studies of skulls of animals, humans, pre-humans, that I do at the Red Path Museum, which is a place I like to draw. So, what I think is interesting about this book is it's the larval form of the work that I've created, and looking back upon it, it actually filled me with inspiration over the body of work I've actually already created. What's great about this book is there's a certain naivety to it all. Some of these I'm not going to scan. This is an example of continuous line drawing, which was the style I created in before I started using automatic word drawings. Now this particular drawing here, I'm not going to say too much about, but it was made in a continuous line, and then after I looked and I saw, and at the time, the reason I say there's a certain naivety about it is because the figures are almost childlike. And if I think about it, I was a child for a long, long time. And especially let that come through in my art. As a matter of fact, it's one of the ways I never gave up my child, which is maybe why I've managed to keep my youth for so long. This is an example of when I start getting into the use of words and continuous line. So here I'm writing as well as drawing. Example of a straight up continuous line drawing. It's an unfinished work. And some of these are just meant to show you what the works look like unfinished. Other ones are finished drawings, even though they may or may not be finished. As I've stated many, many times before, I'm very accomplished, and the way I learned to study, the way I learned to draw, was figure drawing. So sometimes, or very often, my continuous lines ends up being a figure. This particular piece is called Judith, and it's literally, if you can see right there in the bottom corner, maybe I'm at the other side, if you can see at the bottom corner here, there's a decapitated head in a woman's arms. I just thought that was interesting. This piece here is a finished continuous line drawing. This is called The Wizard, after the Black Sabbath song, The Wizard. As I have stated often, many times when I'm drawing, a line or a riff of music will come in my head, and that's what I'll name the piece. This particular piece also has sort of mystic powers or mystic feelings, so during this period, as a starving romantic artist, I suffered many losses of love. It took took a lot of time to recover after those losses. This is a transitional period. And there's almost always two figures in any of the finished, which I use in loose quotes, works in this book. And one is often female and one is male. And often they're walking away from or towards or away from each other. And as I look at this piece, I realize that this was actually a figure drawing of my then lover, which was the mother of my daughter. This work here is called Freedom Fighter 55, Where Are You? She was touring while I was working. I always thought that was a nice little continuous line piece, and often I work with goddesses because I'm a sucker for goddesses. It's another goddess work. So these are all continuous lines. I just drew them without any thought of what the finished product might be. Now, this was obviously after I had gone to the mountains and come back. This is a self-portrait, and this I definitely would have drawn. Like I would have looked at myself, holy, hey, who's that guy? You recognize him? Maybe I shouldn't be silly, but who cares? This is definitely a drawing that I looked at myself, a portraiture, and then I started writing across it, whatever I might see. And I did lots of portraits, or I've done lots of portraits throughout my career, because I was always very inspired or very influenced by Van Gogh. This work here is called Saskatchewan Snow Snakes, Faraway Lands and Faraway Places. I'd say this is sort of unfinished because with my naivety, which is a word I keep using, I planned on using that. You can see that it's not compositionally quite finished. You can see that it's part continuous line, part written word. In this book I've used multiple different types of media, and at the time I sort of used one sketchbook for all, but then I realized that because some medias were messier than others, you're better off, at least for these projects, to just use one media so it doesn't dirty the other pages. It's two lovers in the arms of each other. I'm going to skip some of this. This was, once again, before I felt I really hit it. Really hit it with the continuous line. And I think it took another 6 years before I really understood what I was doing. It's funny to go back through this stuff. It's literally the history. As I flipped through this, I was actually reminded of my history. Another version of two lovers. You can see the female figure very clearly. And the male figure, which is the one on my left, is actually draped in a robe, which is much like the tattoo I have on my arm, which is one of my works, which I would have done around this time. This piece here is super simple, but I think it's also super beautiful. Simple line drawing with some tones. colored in. It's called I Am So Sad and I Have No Reason Why. Some other example is the two lovers. Reoccurring theme, continuous line. It was around this time that I started being bored because I felt like I was creating the same image again and again. There's always a female figure, always a male figure. This work here, I would say, is the pinnacle of this sketchbook. Some might call me a misogynist for it. It's about being alone a lot of the time, though. It's called Pretty Girls in Blue Balls. It's about being in college and working very hard and seeing all these beautiful young women but never having a date, never having the confidence to have a date. So you're left with blue balls a lot of time. I think many times people call artists misogynists, but what they don't understand is that it's the images are the artist's feelings of inadequacy. Once again, we see a beastly figure. It's a female figure. Another nice piece. I think the self-portrait, and Pretty Girls in Blue Balls are sort of the pinnacle of them all. There's a totem figure. I see an artist painting, and he's painting a female figure, which is over here. So that's a sketchbook that was done well over, oh geez, I guess it was 14, 15 years ago. And I think sometimes an artist's legacy is very easily lost upon the people around them, especially if you've spent a lot of your life moving around or living the bohemian life in loose quotes. I think I wanted to share that with you just to show you that the works that I've created, or the works that I share with you on the internet, weren't just spontaneously created. They took years and years of work and practice. And there are, as I stated before, there are many more sketchbooks than just these ones. The Book of Revelations was a real turning point for me. I remember having started art school. I would have been in art school my third year, and I've been an artist for a long time before, but I was having problems adjusting. And for those of you who go to art school, you may have your own style, which you may also find once you get into the system, you're almost forced to amalgamate into the system, and it takes some adjustment. So just as I was getting to leave school, I was starting to come into art as myself, and the only thing that saved me, if that's what you want to call it, was that I kept drawing. I kept drawing, and I kept drawing, and I kept drawing, and I continued to draw long after many other people quit. And I think that's one of the keys, is perseverance. Anybody can be a great drawer for a short time, but in order to create a body or a legacy of work, it takes years and years of perseverance. And that's it for the Artist Studio. I hope you enjoyed my little walk down memory lane, and I'll have more for you soon. Thanks.